This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Buying houses cash. Is it as easy? Is it as fun as they make it look on television? Today on the radio show, we have Shane Swanberg with Bridgehaven Loans. And in the previous segment, we were talking about your first deal, but then Matt had all these questions. And we're like, hey, can we ask you these questions? So essentially, what were some of the things you wanted to ask him?
Well, so you were out looking for homeowners who were behind in their mortgage payments, right? You found this lady in Del Paso Heights. She was behind. You met with her, and you tried this short sale process. That didn't work out. The home went to auction. And how much did you bid on that home at auction?
So I had to look it up at the break, but it was $207,400.
What was the bid prior to that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember because the $400, that was a big part of it. So it got to 207, and then there's a 207.1, a 207.2, 207.3, and then I threw in the 207.4, and that's when everyone else froze.
Wow.
Because I've heard,
let's give one to the newbie.
Well, I've heard sometimes they do that on the auctions. Like all the experienced guys will be like, we'll bid it up, and then we'll see if he goes for it and let him choke.
So they bid it up just by $100?
At the very end. It started lower than that. But
so, all right. So you win the bid. You go share the good news with the resident. Hey, we're going to help you out. We're going to give you some time to find a new place. We're even going to give you some money for a deposit for your rental. Then you decide, all right, now the work begins. Tell us about the flip and all the work you had to put into it.
Well, this was the first one, so I didn't know what I didn't know. But it wasn't in terrible shape. It did need a new paint job on the exterior and the interior. It needed some new floors. We put some new carpet in the bedrooms. The kitchen cabinets, this was our first one, so we were, trying to save on the budget. So we actually had refinished the cabinets. We just painted them white. And then the bathrooms, we did new toilets and new vanities, and we were able to save the shower surrounds.
So is this you and your wife going to the Home Depot and doing this project, or
Yeah.
did you hire a contractor to do this stuff?
So we kind of made a list of what we wanted to do, and then we found a contractor, hired him, and he actually bid to do the entire job for us. So that's how we got it done.
Which
Wow.
cost what
I think we spent $19,000.
on the flip?
Yeah, which
So-
you could never do that nowadays.
So you got in for 207.4, 207.4, and then
Put
put 19 grand
19
into
in.
it. How much did you end up making, like after closing costs and everything?
So
roughly.
I looked it up. Looks like we listed it for $259,900, and then it ended up selling at $260. So someone gave us $100 over, and I remember our profit on the deal was $8,500.
How did that
How'd
feel,
you feel?
though?
Yeah. Did you feel like, oh my gosh, all right, this could work out? Or did you feel like, oh my gosh,
That was not worth it.
That was not worth it.
It was total proof of concept, so I was okay with it. Honestly, if I would have broke even, it would have felt good just getting the education from that first
Sure,
one.
because you hadn't left your job yet, so you still had income from that, right?
I did, yeah. And right after this one, we had two other deals that we got into contract to purchase. So everything was kind of coming together, and this was like that first piece of confidence that we needed to really keep it going.
So you made $8,500 on the first one. What'd you make on the second one?
Second one was like mid 20s, like 23, 24,000.
Okay.
Typically in this business, like, the margins are low, but you're talking, 6 to 9% margins. So that mid 20s would be more of a reasonable type profit on that.
And then you
price
felt
point.
really good after that one, right?
Yeah. And then, with that first year, we ended up doing 7 house flips. And then the next year, I think we did 10. And then each year since then, we've just been growing the business, starting to add employees, and just kind of getting better at what we do and our services that we offer.
Is it like what it looks like on TV? You watch all these shows like The Gains and all these flip this, flip that. Is it what it appears to be on television?
No.
No.
It never is.
What are we misled to believe? What's the reality of it compared to the television show?
I mean, they're doing those TV shows for entertainment purposes, but there's a lot of things that come up on the properties that you never think of. And it's also like not the fun part. Like there's a lot of, hiring and bookkeeping and all the businessy type stuff.
Yeah.
But, if they made a show with all of that, that wouldn't be fun to watch.
No, I'd watch that show.
Yeah.
But I'd be one of like 5 people. Yeah. So now fast forward, are you, you mentioned you cashed out your your life savings on that first deal, are you using primarily your own funds, or do you have like lines of credit, or how does that work in terms of like speed of taking down these deals?
Yeah, so we're a cash buyer, so the capital piece is really important. So there's three things that we do. We have a good amount of cash to be able to buy homes, and then we also have lines of credit available that we can pull from in order to buy homes, and then we also have private investors, which friends, family, people I've met that want to earn a double-digit return on their investment. Basically, what we do is we take their capital and they wire it into escrow whenever we buy a new house, and then they receive a note and deed of trust to secure their cash.
Well, that's smart.
It's kind of like being a bank. And then we pay, typically double-digit returns, usually 10%. They receive monthly interest payments while we're working on the property, and then as soon as the property sells, escrow reaches out to them. They get a payoff just like they would with the bank. They get all their cash back plus all the interest they've earned along the way. So it's a really good deal for them, and it allows us to do the volume that we're doing now. That's
so cool. And so if anybody wants to learn more, you can always just Google Bridgehaven Loans or just reach out to us, 530-GET-MORE, and we'll connect you with Shane and his company. But you are buying at such aggressive prices compared to other investors I work with. Is that because you have so much cash? And well, let me ask you this: do you have your own crew then that you employ, or how does that work now?
Yeah, so one of the advantages that we have to be able to pay more than a lot of competitors is the construction piece. We've done almost a couple hundred flips now.
Really?
So after doing that many, we've kind of learned, we've got certain crews that do things for us on a discount because we're doing a lot of volume with them. Like one crew we've worked with since 2018. They've literally been with us for 6 years. They've done probably 100 of the couple hundred flips that we've done. And, they take care of us on pricing, but we take care of them on volume, and they know exactly what we're doing. So it's a really easy and seamless process working with them. So between, the good financing that we have in cash and the construction crews giving us good pricing, that allows us to pay more than other competitors do. The other thing that we have as an advantage is, there's a lot of people that are doing like 1 or 2 flips a year, and they require a certain amount of return in order to do one. Well, we're doing volume, so we're okay, making less on each one because, at the end of the day, we just want to keep the crews busy, keep the team busy. We have employees on payroll that have to get paid, so
Absolutely.
We just need to keep the engine moving, and that's the biggest goal.
So about how many flips a year are you doing now, or are you on pace for this year?
So this year we're buying on average 4 a month, so we'll end right around 50 for purchases this year, and we're just looking to continue to grow.
Wow.
And, last year I think we were in the 20s. So from last year to this year, it's been a really big growth year.
Really? Because everybody else is like a report just came out from a big institutional cash buyer, and they are actually increasing their margins because the market's getting worse for them. What do you contribute your growth to?
Ours just has to do with marketing and hiring. The way I have a good business background. I actually went to Sac State here in Sacramento.
There you go.
And I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was the course I took. But honestly, you just learn from experience. And then I also am a big proponent of joining mastermind groups being around others that are doing what you do. And even on a larger scale, they teach you what to do. But, growing the team is definitely, the first 4 or 5 years, it was just my wife and I doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was one point where we had 8 houses at one time, and I was managing all of them. And, people were still calling us to try to get bids to come buy their houses. But we had so many projects going, there wasn't enough hours in the day for my wife and I to be able to do everything. So we brought on our first employee, then brought on a second employee. And then from last year to this year, we went from 4 employees to 8 employees.
Wow.
So we've doubled our team size, and then, spending more money on marketing to get it out there. I mean, people don't know that we exist, right?
Yeah.
Unless they hear about it. So yeah, now people, they go to our website, bridgehavenhomes.com. They can call us and reach out, and we can get anyone who needs help a cash offer.
Absolutely. And so for those people who are wanting a cash offer, oftentimes I show up in a person's house and hey, I want a cash offer. And I'm like, well, this house is gorgeous. You realize you're not going to the cash offer option is going to be less because they're going to buy the house, they're going to fix it up, or they're just going to do some minor stuff and not do a whole lot of repairs and then sell it. And they're a for-profit company, but some people want that option. So like, who is your typical buyer or your client?
Yeah, I mean, there are times where I'll walk into a property and the house is nice, and I'll be honest with people. I'll say, hey, I can make you a cash offer and buy your property, but honestly, your house is in pretty good shape. Like, why don't you want to just hire a real estate agent like yourself and sell it? Because I'll tell people that up front. I don't want to do any. I only want, this is only a good service for certain people that really actually need it. But everyone's different, and sometimes there's situations where even if you have a nice house, they just want the ease of a cash offer. There was a property that we actually just bought last month in East Sacramento, and the property, we met with the seller. It was actually a newer house. It was built in 2021. This lady took amazing care of her house. Like, I walked in, took my shoes off, like, no shoes in the house.
Oh man, when I think of walking into a cash offer house, I would be keeping my shoes on. But this is how nice that house was.
Yeah, I was like, you have basically a new construction house. Like,
wow.
Why don't you want to sell it with an agent? Like, I can connect you with an agent and you can sell it. And she's like, honestly, I have a business opportunity and I'm moving out of state, and, I'm a little weird about having people come into my house, strangers walking through my house, and I just don't want to deal with any of that. So if the price is right, I'm willing to just sell it to you directly. So we ran our numbers and made her an offer, and she took it, and we literally closed in like 10 days. It had a solar thing on there that we took care of too. So
a solar
it was
thing,
easy.
like a solar lien or like a lease, or
yeah, solar lien. So on the new builds, new construction requirements is to have solar on there. So there was like a lease that we took over payments on for her too. So
okay, yeah. So when she bought it from the builder, she didn't buy the system outright. She went with the lease option.
Correct.
Got it. Cool. And so when you're running your numbers and you are evaluating a property, can you share a little bit about like what that would look like, so that way people listening can understand, hey, this is how one of the top cash buyers in Sacramento is looking at properties and valuing them?
Yeah, so we're really transparent with how we do our offers. Actually, you can literally go on our website and it has the formula on the website.
Bridgehaven Homes.
Bridgehavenhomes.com.
Yep.
And then click on the How It Works section. And when you scroll down, there's the formula. So it's not a very complex formula. Basically, we just run comps to see what we think we could sell the property in its highest and best use. New kitchen, new bathrooms, new floors, new paint, landscaping looking really well. And then once we have that number, then we just subtract construction costs. So we walk the property to figure out what we think it's going to cost to get the property to that condition. That's kind of our value add. And then the other thing we subtract is a small profit margin. And then we come up with the offer that way.
So do you factor in the two closings, the closing the first time and the closing the second time?
Yeah, so the things that we cover is, and the sellers don't have to cover this, but we cover all the closing costs when we buy it. And then, yes, when we go to resell it, there's closing costs, and we still have to pay realtor commissions when we sell it because there's always a buyer's agent. There's also holding costs. We're paying property taxes and property insurance, and we're paying for utilities, SMUD, PG&E. So all those things, are factored into holding. So
what are the typical closing costs that you cover on that when you buy it from the person? Is it 1%, 3%? Like what does that look like?
We factor it, usually the escrow fees, $1,500. The title insurance is, $1,500. There's transfer taxes depending on if you're in Sac City or Sac County, so all in all, on an average price point, you're probably like $4,000 to $5,000 in closing costs
on the first one. And then on the second one with realtor fees and all those same fees again,
yep.
It's another $5,000 plus maybe the realtor fees.
Exactly.
Okay. And so you got the $5,000 on the front, $5,000 plus realtor fees, and then you have the construction and holding costs. And then that's how, and then you build in your profit, and then that's how it works. And so you said 6 to 9% is typically what you make on a typical flip.
We have to be aggressive. Obviously, there's a lot of competition out there and people buying homes. So our goal with the smaller margins is to give more money to the home seller.
Got it. Love it. And then where do you see the market going in the next 6 to 12 months?
let me tap into my crystal ball here.
I know. I tell everybody my crystal ball is cracked, but just what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, the market, I actually feel, has been pretty consistent the last couple of years. We get a little bit of a spring run up and then it slows down a little bit in the second half of the year. But where we're at right now in the market cycle is, the Fed, everyone's watching interest rates, right?
Yep.
And the Fed has indicated that, they haven't raised rates, I think, the last 5 or 8 meetings or so. And they're starting to indicate that they're going to do the first rate drop, maybe a quarter, maybe a half between now and the end of the year. We'll see. But that's going to help home buyers out because right now the rates are higher than a lot of people have seen in their lifetimes, depending on how old you are, I guess.
Yeah,
and
our lifetimes.
Our lifetimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I always get the story, back in my day when rates were 16.5%.
Yeah, and you bought the house for 2 apples.
Yeah.
We're not talking the same numbers here,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, home prices are very expensive now. But yeah, I see the market just being steady. A lot of people are like, well, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Like, why can't it be flat? That's kind of what we've seen, I feel like, the last couple of years. So, as rates come down, the market might accelerate a little bit. But, historically over time, if you buy a property and you're in that house for 5 years or 10 years, chances are it's going to be worth more. So I always look at it from a long-term perspective instead of trying to time the market.
Best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. Imagine if you bought a home 30 years ago. Second best time, right now. Mm-hmm. And so as we're wrapping up this segment, what are some things, like if somebody's thinking about wrestling with, hey, should I reach out to Bridgehaven and get that cash offer loan? Like, what would you be telling that person? What would you like them to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's no obligation to find out what your cash offer would be. And, when myself or one of our acquisition managers comes out, we'll meet with you in person, we'll walk the property and we'll give you your options. And if it's a better fit based on your scenario to list it with an agent, then I'll say, hey, call my boy Johnny.
There we go.
If it's a good fit for us to just buy it cash and take off all the stress, and you don't have to put any money into it, you don't have to clean it, you don't have to stage it. I mean, you literally don't need to do anything when you sell to us.
Just move out.
Just literally just move out. And sometimes we'll even help with that. So it just depends on the scenario. But
Cool. And then that's bridgehavenhomes.com?
Yeah, www.bridgehavenhomes.com, or some people reach out directly on our phone number, 916-414-9997.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, this was fun.
All right, let's do it again soon.
How do they do it? How do they have more 5-star Google reviews than everyone else in our area? How have they been voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years? Well, you want to know why? It's because they get more for your home. With Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team, Made for More Realty, brokered by EXP, you can't go wrong. They sell homes 27% faster than everyone else on the market, and on average for a 3% higher purchase price. You can trust them. We sure do. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.